welcome to OneMore. I'm your host, Brian Erickson. I'd like to thank all our faithful viewers for tuning back in and welcome all our new ones who might not be so familiar with the program. What we're going to try to do each week is bring people in from our local community, artists, songwriters, musicians, journalists, photographers, anyone who has something to say, anyone that's doing good work. We get them in the room, we sit them down, we find out why they do what they do. Because while the desire to create is a natural inclination, the act itself is a series of choices. And so we're going to talk to a lot of people about a lot of those choices in the coming months. We've got such a vibrant local arts community, and we're happy to try and be a small part of it. Anyone unfamiliar with who I am? I'm a musician myself. I cover the local scene as a writer, I co-host a podcast, and I book and promote live events. So I guess the fine people at Carousel Arts thought enough of that to ask me to come in and do this too. We've got a great show for you tonight. We have Tara Dente and Brian Rothenbeck. We're going to sit them down in a few minutes. But first, let's introduce our co-host, Chris Dubrow.
How you feeling, Brian?
I'm all right, man. Show number 1.
Yeah, right? So far off to a good start. That was a lot more eloquent than I was prepared for us to be in this. So I now have to, raise my intelligence level to match you.
Oh, no. I can lower mine back down.
Thank
It's all
God.
right.
Good. That really lowers the pressure on me. I guess what I want to do, because Brian and I, we've gotten to know each other doing this. He gave me
through
we've known each other, but
we
became friends getting started on this. He gave me a book from the 33 1/3 series, which, if you know, is the series where they write about a different album for each one. And he gave me the one on music from Big Pink, and I want to get your take on it.
Okay.
Because normally what they are is in-depth analysis of the album or a history of the album, but this one's just kind of a random story about a drug dealer.
Yeah, it's
every now and then they're and Bob Dylan was there. And
that's kind of what I liked it moving through the book because it offered a fresh perspective on the record through the eyes of the band's drug dealer.
Yeah, which, I don't know.
But it seemed very fantastical because they're and then he went to New York, and what's this racket? And then it's some curly-haired guy with sunglasses. Oh, it's Lou Reed.
Yeah, that was the weirdest
And then they're yeah.
He's in some random drug dealer's dark apartment and playing loud music, and it's oh, Lou's new album is here. It felt like a lot of name dropping for the sake of name dropping, which is always fun in a book.
But I kind of liked how it, I liked the the part, I guess, when they were staying up in Woodstock, and I think who was it, Garth Hudson gave him the acetate, and they would wake up each morning and look out on the mountains, and this album that wasn't even out yet would blare out of the house.
I think when I first heard music from Big Pink, which is the album obviously talking about, that's basically what I was doing. Was every day I was playing that thing. So I was the parts where he was talking about the actual music were great, but throughout the entire thing, he didn't really address the album too much, which was weird to me.
It ended up being more about his relationship with Richard Manuel.
Yeah,
and how they kind of grew sort of together and then apart after the guy got thrown in jail and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a whole weird
thing. So that was our weekly book review of a book no one's ever heard of an album that a few people have heard of. Here on OneMore.
Yeah, but that was sort of our pre-production last week.
Yeah, that was our plan.
That was the take this.
Yes, let's try to bond over it.
Let's give ourselves something to talk about on Monday.
Next week, what do you want to trash talk next week?
Cold Mountain?
Perfect, let's do it.
That's a big book. That's a lot for one
I thought
week.
you were going to talk about the movie. I'll trash talk Jude Law all day, so that's perfect for me.
Maybe the film would be better.
Yeah, we should do a popcorn night, watch Cold Mountain together.
I got that couch. We get the couch. I get the cat. We can just hang out. We'll order Chinese food.
It's perfect.
It'll be really good.
All right. I'm excited for that.
Me too, man. This is
This is nice.
Welcome.
Hey, everyone who's here. Hey, crew. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
One guy's doing great. Are we still stretching for time?
No. Oh. This isn't. We're not we don't.
How loose are we?
I don't know how your TV experience is, but this, the network here, this is not. We don't have to hit specific times here.
No. My only TV experience is when I hosted the Ellen DeGeneres show as Ellen for a few weeks. No one caught on.
No,
not even Portia. She was.
Was that when you had Justin Timberlake on and you called people down from the audience? It was that episode,
Yeah, that was
right?
me. That was me, not Ellen. She didn't know. It was great.
Son of a gun. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, that's a little bit of Hollywood insider info. I'm writing a book about it for the 33 and the Third series about when I was Ellen DeGeneres.
Well, that's different.
It's an interesting take. I don't know what album I'm going to be talking about, but I'm sure I'll mention it at some point.
Sure, yeah. So, I guess you want to get to... we have a few words from our sponsors first before we bring out our guests.
Do we do the words from the sponsors? Or do we bring on the guest? We're bringing on the guest first. Brian Erickson, ladies and gentlemen.
Renaissance man. All right, well, our first guest has a new album out called Basilisk. Please welcome... Did I pronounce that incorrectly? He's going to correct me when he comes on. Please welcome Brian Rothenbeck.
Cool.
How do you pronounce it?
Basilisk.
All right, well, it's at least... It
So
looks
close.
So what is a basilisk?
A basilisk is a mythical creature. They're different lizard-esque creature whose gaze will turn a man to stone.
Do you have experience with this creature?
So literally,
like personal experience with him? With it?
So no, real life. Like we were thinking for a name of the record, and that was the last thing that we fought in D&D was a basilisk. Like that's a good name for a record. We're gonna go with that.
Wow. Oh, so you D&D. So you rolled like a 5d20 and were like basilisk. That's it.
Sure. You know what? Yes.
Oh wow. All right.
All right, what is your alignment in D&D? What are you?
Well,
I'm going to say chaotic evil, but that's first impression.
yeah. I mean that's accurate. In the game, I like to play against my personal type, so I go with more of a chaotic neutral.
Respect.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to play as lawful good?
Oh,
It's so hard.
There's no point in it.
Yeah, and like there really is. That's what I did in my last campaign, and it was like impossible.
You have to like make good decisions.
Yeah, like
Don't do that.
What
No, you don't want that.
None of
My
that.
experience, I'm not very good at that.
We're getting note to lower the mic.
Oh.
Let's try this.
I am a small man sat between two very tall,
Very
men.
tall
I feel like that's a little
fellows.
bit better. Yes.
Yeah. I have never felt more like a hobbit in my life.
Well, that kind of goes.
That kind of goes. I was going to say
No,
that
that's
sort of
just like a
goes
classic
along with
line.
this theme, right? That we're kind of touching on this Dungeons and Dragons
Oh yeah.
theme.
I mean, it's no secret that I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gathered. Yes.
The last time that we partied together, I spent 2 hours talking about how cool my campaign is.
I don't want to talk about that. No, we're not going to talk about
We
that.
will not talk
We're
about
not going to
that.
talk about that on because this is now part of the public record here, so we're not going to do that. So, you're from Hackettstown.
I am.
That's up north a little bit. What brings you down here?
We make M&Ms. I would like to point that out.
Do you in
our
Hackettstown?
Yeah,
Like,
our town smells like chocolate.
are they the
5 days a
Mars company?
It is the Mars Company.
Wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Like our campus is a couple miles from my house.
It's better than I heard. There's another town that makes like soap, and every once in a while, like the streets, like the sewer, the storm drains, like bubble up.
It's probably the cleanest town.
I guess so. But is that have you spent your whole life in New Jersey? Have you
Yeah, for the most
wandered
part.
around a bit?
Not for living wise. It's
Okay.
mostly just been. I've lived in New Jersey and nearby Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I think we all have.
What got you into playing music in the first place? You've been at this for a while, haven't you?
I mean, 20 years, let's say.
Wow. So you started when you were 2 years old.
Yes, yes, when I was 2 years old. What a gentleman. Well, I actually started when I was 7.
Okay.
Taking piano lessons because my sister was playing piano and I wanted to play piano.
Oh well, naturally, because it's. I mean, that's. So she's your older sister,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So I was the older sibling, and so yes, I was the one that. Although I didn't have a piano, we would. I mean, something simple like I was playing with the ball.
Yeah.
And my sister would be completely like in a different room, and then as siblings do, they see you with something, and then like, oh, I want this.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, piano, I want that.
Yeah. And like my life hasn't changed that much since then,
So every time she gets something cool,
yeah, she like got a doctorate and I'm like, I want a doctorate.
are you going for one?
No, an honorary one would be nice though. If anyone wants to give me one, that'd be fantastic.
Well, I mean, hey, they gave one to Bob Dylan not too long ago.
And
so
I can't imagine that I'm much
further off,
smarter than he is.
So, so you said your sister essentially finding discovering your sister playing music is sort of what inspired you to start playing.
Yeah, it just seemed like something fun. Like we had a piano. Our house came with a piano. When
That's
my parents moved in.
Old houses tend to.
So like I think they bought. I think my parents bought it in like the late '70s, and you just didn't have a piano mover handy. So, well, it comes furnished with a piano. So I mean, like for generations now, like every generation of my family has just sat there and banged on the piano in the dining room while everyone's trying to have a quiet dinner.
Well, that's kind of neat, though. So you get like the entire sort of Rothenbeck family, like pathogens on the piano keys.
There could be the weirdest clone ever if they just swabbed them.
Swabbed it a little bit. Now, when did you get to a point where your sister's playing piano and you're kind of copying and things like that? When did it become more formal? Like, particularly when because you're here as a songwriter. Like we're here to listen to some of your music in a little bit. So, when did you get to a point? Or what, did you have this aha sort of moment where you said, I'm going to start writing?
I don't know if I ever had that aha moment. I can tell you that I'm terrible with cover songs. So I kind of if I have to learn a cover song, it is like I have to cram for it. I have to play it every single day for the week that I'm going to be playing it, or I will forget it immediately. So I've never been good at that. So I kind of the day I got a guitar, I got I was given a chord book I just started figuring that out and just oh, these sound good together. I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's more just a fault of my own as a song coverer that I became a songwriter.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, a lot of people I think kind of find their way that way.
Yeah. And then
by realizing that the cover band life is not necessarily suited for whomever, and so and it's probably easier to play things that you make up.
That certainly is true, at least for me. I like the easy route.
So you've got this new album. I'm gonna just grab it real quick. I should have had it on the table. Can we get a close up of this right here?
Cool.
So this is very impressive here, and this is coming out when?
On the 19th of January.
All right, so about a week and a half from now.
Finally, it was a long time coming.
It has, because your last album, Secret Monsters, was 2013. Is there any reason for the long layoff?
Some people can write songs very quickly and are very prolific. I'm not one of those people. It takes me a solid 6 months to write lyrics for the most part.
Well, I don't think there needs to be. Well, are you familiar with that story? I don't know if it's a real story or if it's just apocrypha, but that Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen are sitting down, and Leonard Cohen says, "Well, how long did it take you to write Like a Rolling Stone?" And Bob is like, "Oh, about 10-15 minutes. How long did it take you to write Hallelujah?" And Leonard Cohen's like, 12 years.
Right.
It's still not done. But so there's no speed, there's no time limit on.
No, there's not.
You can't time quality.
True. It would be nice to be able to put out more content, and instead of you kind of go away for 4 years and then start back up again from the beginning.
Well, I mean,
at least for me, it feels like that. It's nice to have something new to show people that come out to see you play. Yeah. Versus here are the songs that you've heard a million times, maybe a new arrangement of one.
and I know which one that is.
That's
actually
true. There is a new arrangement of one on that record.
Now you okay? So keeping with the idea of more content and everything, you did, even though this is not out for another week and a half or so,
right?
You do have a music video.
I do,
and it takes place in your hometown of
lovely
Hackettstown. What's it called? What's that song called? You are allowed to say the full title.
It's called "The Complete Guide to the Expletive Deleted Obvious."
Okay,
it's a family event.
That is true, yes. But, we're not FCC regulated.
No.
If you wanted to drop it, you could.
Okay, I will show some restraint.
So, that was done pretty quick. Unlike the record, that was done really
we didn't have much of a choice. There was a projected date that we wanted to debut a video, and I had not done it yet. So we pretty much shot it, edited it, and got it all done in a week.
Excellent. And that's not just you now solo. Like this is you're here, but there's this the adventuring party.
Yes.
That's also credited here. How did this band come together?
Well,
because you're a multi-instrumentalist also.
It's true.
So it's like how this band come together as opposed to you just being like, yeah, I'll do everything.
That was the original idea. Okay. So it started off as just like I was gonna go. My friend has a basement studio, so I'm like, I'm gonna go record with him. Like, let him engineer. I'll just play everything, and then it'll just kind of put it out quietly, and it'll just be there, as a record of something that happened in my life.
Well, I'm glad you're deciding to, make a little more noise with it.
Yeah,
be a little more public with it.
I mean, yeah, I'm super proud of this. So, the band started when we started playing D&D together.
So there it is, right?
They were.
It always comes back to Dungeons and Dragons.
Honestly,
I found
this band 100% happened because of Dungeons and Dragons.
Is there a story behind that, or is it just these are just your gaming buddies?
They play in a couple bands. We were on the same bill at this bar in Denville.
Okay,
another place up north. And we were talking outside. I'm like, man, I really want to get back into playing D&D. And they were like, yeah, we do that sometimes when we go camping. Like, we really kind of want to do it too. And then we all got together a couple weeks later and played. And then we were playing for probably about a year by the time I wanted to start making this record. And then I was like, hey, you guys want to be in a band with me? And I never, now we're together forever.
Oh, I hope so. And you also recently signed to a label, if I'm not mistaken, right? The Black Numbers, isn't that
the
what
Black Numbers is being kind enough to put this out for us and give us some support on it, which is super, super cool.
What kind of a role did they play in this? Because, at this level, locally, people are releasing things on labels, they're having help, they're self-releasing things, so it's, you kind of get a mixed bag. So how did these guys kind of change the game a little? Did they kind of make things possible that may not have been possible otherwise?
Definitely putting out an actual LP. That was all Dave's doing, who is the Black Numbers proprietor. So he and I have been friends forever. We played in bands together. I've toured with his band for years, and so he was trying to set up a tour with one of the artists on his label. He's like, "Oh, when's your record coming out?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Do you want to put it out?" At which point he responded, "Sure." And then we just kind of, many things happened for me just by stumbling.
Well, that's kind of that's kind of how we met in in our own way. But we met, I think, at a show that we were both playing. We just kind of happened to. Yeah,
Joe Gallupo just happened to not be able to play it and signed me and got me to fill in for him, and a true friendship was born.
I have one more question for you. What would it take for you to call this record a success? We saved the best for last.
It is a success. I'm happy with what I put out.
Excellent.
That's it.
No, that's fine. And I'm not saying selling X amount of copies, because I'm interested in how because success is such a nebulously defined thing. So that's this seems like a success already. So that's.
Yeah, that's the record that I've desperately wanted to put out for decades. I don't know if I knew that, but now that it's done, this is what I want it to be.
Excellent. And what's the release date again?
January 19th.
January 19th on the Black Numbers. Basilisk by Brian Rothenbeck and the Adventuring Party. Thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, and now we're going to our first ad, which we're going to be reading from Hendo's Couch, the only couch brought to you by Hendo. Shout out to Joey Henderson. Our first sponsor today is Mr. Pizza Slice, a Red Bank institution with a new vibe. Which camera am I looking at? This one. Check it out. For over 45 years, Steve operated Mr. Pizza Slice on Mum Street in Red Bank. The new owners have 100% kept the original pizza, called Steven's Original Pie, as well as the signature Italian hot dog and French fries, which coincidentally is Brian and I's cover band.
Yes. Oh,
New additions include pizzas with various toppings that can be ordered by the slice, hot and cold sandwiches, and smaller appetizer dishes. We've kept a lot of Steve's feeling here in the classic video game machines and added delivery service, longer hours, and Sunday hours. Shout out to Mr. Pizza Slice in Red Bank. You want a piece of pizza?
It's all you.
Okay, cool. I think it's always polite to eat pizza while talking directly into a microphone.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, well yeah, chew directly into the microphone. That's how
what we're
we.
here for.
That's how we're supposed
So
to.
everyone
do
can
this.
hear how good the pizza sounds.
Yeah, give it a bite.
I'm not hungry at all. Like I ate a big dinner.
Well, I think we're just about ready to bring out our next guest. She released a sensational album this past June called The Gleaner. Everyone, please help me welcome Tara Dente.
Press that down.
Yeah. Tara, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Ben. We didn't have to kick him off the couch. He was room.
Oh no, that's all
Actually,
right. Well,
he
he's
beat
got
the
his
cracker.
pizza now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's got his
happy. He's
pizza.
gonna go.
You guys are comfortable, so make yourselves at home.
All right. That's nice and warmed up for me.
Excellent. Good. I'm glad we could do that. We'd help you out. So, I first saw you back in June, probably right around the time the record came out, at the Danny Clinch Gallery in Asbury Park. And what really, I was sort of immediately taken by this sort of steady authority that you seem to have when you get on stage. And I'm wondering how that came, like, is that something you practice? Because it's there's not a lot of distraction. It's just, the music, the songs, like your percussion and things like that. And, is that something that just sort of happened? Or were you like, this is how I want to, present this material?
Well, I take steady authority lessons on a weekly basis.
Ah, that's how you do it. Those are expensive. I haven't been able to afford
I can
those.
recommend someone. No, I'm.
You know a guy? Yeah, you got a guy?
Yeah, I found him on Craigslist, but so.
All right, Craigslist. I found most of my friends on Craigslist. I found this gig on Craigslist.
Oh my God, we're not advertising. I don't think we're advertising for Craigslist tonight, right? I don't know
No,
if that's on
no.
the list. Okay.
Did they even make money?
Not sure about that.
I don't know.
So, I guess in terms of like how I present my music and how it's all come together, I was looking through some boxes the other day because I've moved so many times, like countless amounts of times in the last couple of years, and it's not countless, it's like 10 or something, but it's a lot.
That's a
And,
robust number of
and when
times to
when
move.
you do that, you wind up caring less and less about the thoroughness of your moving skills. So you sort of just start dumping everything in boxes without category. And so I finally went through like my last few boxes over during the storm recently.
Okay.
And it was just like, oh, tape, and then a shirt, and then like papers, and it's just everything coming out of the same box. And then I found this little drawing that I made probably like 5 years ago of me, like, this is, I guess, how I flesh out my ideas on a third grade level. So I just sketch stick figure versions of myself doing the thing I want to do.
Oh, that's a great way to do it, though. No, that's a good.
And it's just a big, drawing in black marker of like whatever I want. So it's like pizza slices, and it's like, but it was a drawing of me standing up and playing guitar and singing and kind of all like the gear that I imagined playing with, because I honestly didn't know what I would need to flesh out the sound that I imagined that I wanted to make, but I knew that I wanted it to involve percussion, as well as acoustic guitar and singing. So it was like a kick drum, and there was like a tambourine on a thing, and it's like I don't know how I'm gonna, like, what mechanisms are involved with this, but
Yeah.
I know I want to do it. I know that there's like a sound that I want to make, And then fast forward to like a year ago, and I discovered Shaky Graves on YouTube or something through like a friend, and they're like, you have to check out Shaky, because I told them what I wanted to do, and I had waited years, and I just never tried to flesh out this foot percussion idea. And then I saw him do it, and I was like, I have to do it. Like, someone else is already doing it. Damn it. And
No, but that's okay. I mean,
yeah,
that's
it's a catalyst in a way, right? It's like you see somebody kind of taking on what you might have ideas
I mean,
for.
this is not the first talk show ever. So
It's not.
no, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought they went over that with you before we did this. I'm sorry.
You are a genius, but I guess you have your limitations.
Well, that's
Starting talk shows, the concept of a talk show. So I finally was like, all right, there's no perfection. I just have to try it and do it. So I reached out to Kevin Grossman, who is a phenomenal drummer in person, and he helped me to scope out. I found a suitcase, and then he helped me to create like a kick drum out of a suitcase. And so finally I'm kind of materializing like the thing that I imagined doing for so long. And I guess I just have to go at it every single time. Like, it can never be perfect. It can never be kind of like, there's just no perfection involved, essentially. That's the only way I've been able to go forward in my music, is to stop having expectations of anything and just like do what I hear in my head and try to make that
But that's
reality.
kind of the beauty of performance anyway, is the lack of perfection.
Well, everyone watching thinks that, but the person actually performing.
Oh yeah, no, you want to
it's
try to.
harder
You
as
don't
a
want to
performer.
purposefully, make mistakes and things
Right.
like that. But it's
Right.
it's the human element, and I think that's something a lot of people would say is kind of increasingly missing from certain types of music and things like that. And that's a disputable conversation for another time. But I think the best performances are not the perfect performances. They're just the ones that seem to have conviction, and that's that's why, like I said, when I saw you for the first time back in June, I was like, wow, like Tara's got it together.
Oh,
like
wow.
she,
Well, thanks.
she knows at least what she wants to have happen.
Cool. Yeah, and I agree that I think the best performances are ones that you actually see glimpses of the person, and it's not like super shiny and packaged, and I try to imagine from the viewer standpoint too, like what I want to hear when I go to see someone perform, and so I always try to keep that in mind when I get up to perform, like what I'm looking for, and it's usually just authenticity and like excitement for whatever you're doing. So yeah. So thanks for saying those things about.
Oh, thanks for doing them.
No problem.
Now, to pivot a little bit, you said you were going through boxes and things like that. You've moved around quite a lot, and I know that Vermont has a relatively big place in your life as a musician. And you still go up there from time to time.
Yeah.
You want to tell a little bit of your story, because I know you were down here, and then you kind of went up to Vermont for a little bit, and then you kind of came back and things like that. For some of our viewers that aren't so familiar with that story, you want to kind of give us the quick version?
Sure. I can give it to you in bullet point form if you like. Or no, it's
That
great.
would be great.
Okay,
10
great.
point,
Awesome.
10-point font,
So,
1.5 space.
Okay, so actually it's funny because on Facebook, it reminds you of your past, whether you want it to or not. It's like, oh, great, that happened 5 years ago. Okay. But it keeps like sending these. I'm coming up on the 3rd year anniversary of having moved to Vermont. So 3 years ago, I on this day, I had the picture came up, and it's a picture I just got my little studio apartment set up and brought my dog and finally got everything together, got a job, like, started my life brand new from scratch, like in a whole new city with like, I knew like one person, and just kind of took a big chance, and it definitely paid off. And so I think more than anything, it gave me space to like redefine myself and just feel like I could be whoever I wanted, and kind of show myself what I'm made of, like how much I could rely on myself.
Yeah.
So one of the songs I'm going to sing tonight is actually it was the first song I wrote when I moved there, and it was
Oh,
about
cool.
something to do with the graveyard across the street. So it was a really old graveyard, and it was like an old farmhouse that I lived in. So it felt a lot of like history around me, and felt like I had just been dropped into this like different universe kind of. Because everything in New Jersey feels somewhat new and kind of commercial in some ways. There's some really beautiful older like architecture and, you know, areas of New Jersey that I'm not really around too often. But so this was like a different world for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and I imagine that especially around here, the locale has changed quite a lot, even in just the past 3 years. So probably a lot from the time you left to the time you decided to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, you know, coming back was sort of one of the things that, you know, may have provided the catalyst to make this record. And Nash, if we could get a close up on the record here. So we have it here, and this is The Gleaner. This came out on June 2nd of this past year.
I'm glad you knew that, because I forgot about that date.
I've done my homework.
Yes, and it was recorded
with Dan, right? Matlack?
Dan Matlack produced the album. It was recorded at Lake House. I recorded it summer of 2016, and then a year later I released it. So had some time between those two events, but it was a great summer. That's when I moved back from Vermont in May, and then kind of lived out of my car that summer and like romanticized that a lot. And then while it was happening, it was, you know, I spent a lot of nights at my parents' house, essentially. I didn't, like, efficiently live out of my car. But it was a very, like, free type of summer. Just sort of, like...
Very transient, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was a great summer. I collaborated with some local musicians, and it was recorded in one session in one day. We all recorded live together.
Wait, this whole record was done in one day?
Yeah, in one session.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. How long did it take you to do yours, Brian?
Oh, stop.
Ooh, almost a year to the day.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Let's talk about how long it takes for like the material to actually marinate before the songs are written.
Okay, but
you know,
and it was 3 years between, you know, you released your first record in 2014. So it was, and I guess if this was 2016, so you had, you know, a solid like 2-year block between the release of that album and, you know, going in to make this. Wow.
It's psychological gymnastics to get into a studio and know, like, we're recording an album today. Like, there's no turning back. There's no other options. Like, you just...
That's like...
So we all kind of just, like, made it happen and you know, learned our parts, came in, and, again, just battling perfectionism, like... one project at a time. Like, okay, this is going to be what it is.
That's some, like, Otis Redding level, like, we're going, you know, that's, like, Stax Records, and so they'd send them in there. They'd be like, okay, it's, you know, 9 in the morning, you've got till 9 at night, and we need, like, 3 new albums by the end of the day. And they just go in.
Well, there's an old, like...
And they just bang them out. Like, that's, oh, wow.
There's this
I mean,
old
I was
Chinese
already impressed. Wow. One day, man.
There's this old Chinese proverb that
great.
I'm going to paraphrase because memory is a lost art. But it's basically like take twice the time to sharpen your axe, and it'll take half the time to cut down the tree. So like, the more time you spend getting to know yourself and like just practicing whatever you do, then when you show up to do it, it's gonna just happen, you know. So like, that's kind of how I had to go into it. Just know my stuff and just do it.
And that makes a lot of sense because the album, from what I gather, the album seems to be doing really well. Like, you're getting a lot of critical acclaim. You were nominated for an award last year, weren't you?
Yeah, I think it was Best Country Artist of the first half of 2017.
Okay.
Was that the one you were thinking of?
Yeah, like some like from like
and
from,
country
but
was
it was like from someplace in LA though. It wasn't just like, you know, Asbury Park, which is, you know, great and everything, but like, you know, when I was reading about this, it's like, you know, Vermont and Virginia and like Los Angeles and stuff, like all over the country, like you're getting, you know, people are hearing this record and kind of recognizing it as something special.
Yeah, it makes me really happy to know that it's stretching out across, you know, different regions and ears. And I definitely have Traviana Records to thank too for that. I signed with the small Americana label, which is a kind of a subdivision of a larger bluegrass label out of Virginia, called Mountain Fever Records. So they started an Americana label, and Dan, he sent the record when it was done behind my back. Because he probably knew I would just be like, no, I'm not good enough. Like, so he just sent it out to a bunch of people, and then they got back to us, emailed us back, and then within a few months, last spring, I signed with them, and then so they took on the record. It was already done. They took it on. It's like a development deal, so they're there to help me to develop myself and kind of just connect me to their connections. So they, can send this to radio stations, and they can do things that I just don't know how to do. Like I have limitations, like I can perform, but
well, yeah,
I'm learning
sometimes
a lot,
having
so.
that extra infrastructure really helps. And I imagine that's probably one of the big differences between that first record, which is still very good, and this one is that this one seems to be getting in a lot more people's ears.
Yeah, it's like the first one was kind of my personal statement. Like I needed to do it, and I needed to flesh it out, and it's there. But I didn't really have the goal of sharing it. I just kind of wanted it to happen. And then this one was it's kind of like my introverted project, and this is kind of more extroverted. I was like ready to show people and put it out there, and had like a new sense of self about it. So the first one is there, and I'm so proud of it. But this one definitely has like different momentum behind it.
Excellent. And may the momentum not stop.
Thank you.
Tara, thank you so much for
Brian.
coming.
Thanks.
We're going to take a quick break with Chris, and then we're going to set these guys up for some live in-studio performances.
How we doing, Brian? Great job. All right, so we are broadcasting One More with Brian Erickson tonight, live from Mammoth Music in Red Bank. Established in 1987, Mammoth Music is located at the center of historic Red Bank, New Jersey, voted third best town in the United States by the Smithsonian Magazine. Number one, anyone? Stanton, Virginia. Look that up. That's true. We're located within walking distance of the famed Count Basie Theater, Red Bank train station, and many fine eateries. Mammoth Music continues the tradition of being a destination store for all levels of musicians, both beginner and professional. Fun fact, I bought my first guitar and my first bass that I still play to this day at Mammoth Music. Epiphone viola bass. No, not that one, the Epiphone viola. It's a classic. Beat the hell out of that thing. New owner, Mario Di Bartolo. A lifelong musician, offers a wide selection of brand name instruments at everyday low prices, both new and used, with personal, professional, and expert service only a family-owned and operated store can provide. Does the neck of your guitar or banjo need repairing, Brian? Do you need a new banjo? You need 2 new banjos, and they need repairing. Do the valves on your saxophone need to be refitted? Tara, do you need a new saxophone? Regardless of what day it is, bring your instrument to Mammoth Music for quality repairs. You'll enjoy prompt service from a team of repairmen who are always available. And now I think Brian is going to sing us a song, unless I'm still vamping.
And I'm picking out a label, and she's picking out her words. I'm taking metered breaths, barely enough to make a verse. And she's staring back with judgment, and I'm staring at the floor. Silent, still as if to say, is there something you're waiting for? And I hope the words will come, but I know they won't. And I praise the sun on the mornings I wake up, when my lungs don't ache from breathing in smoke, and celebrate the passing of lonely nights when I am cut down to the quick, when I can't forget the things that I've done. And I have traced and then retraced 1,000 lines I wrote for her. But she will never hear one, 'cause they're not what she deserves. And I wish that I learned how to speak with an open heart. But this drinking should make it easy, but these words keep on falling apart. And I know how cold the silence can be. So why are you just staring back at me? And I praise the sun on mornings I wake up, when my lungs don't ache, and breathing in smoke, and celebrate the passing of lonely nights when I am caught down to the quick, when I can't forget the things that I've done. And oh, Sierra, I hear your call. Sing your siren song to me. Take me down to the bottom of the sea. How I long to taste your bitter kiss upon my stupid mouth. I praise the sun, the mornings I wake up, when my lungs don't ache, and breathing in smoke, and celebrate the passing of lonely nights, and I am caught down to the quick, when I can't forget the things that I've done. Cut me down to the quick. Cool. Thanks, guys. Here's the polar opposite of that song. Well, I still recall the eyes of my mother, the eyes of my mother when she said, your grandpa's gone. The doctors took his legs from the knees on down, and he looked so very small there in his hospital bed. I was just 13 when we buried his body, my innocence as well, there in the cold New Jersey ground. But oh, the sun, it still rose. No, it will rise again. No, the sun will rise until the day that it burns out. And how could I forget the face of my father when he saw me drunk and bleeding on the night I crashed his truck? When he told me, son, you're gonna have to stop resisting. They're only trying to help you 'cause you did this to yourself. Well, I laid in bed for days, just a broken nose, but I should have died. He never judged me once, man, I wish I could pay him back. But oh, the sun, it still rose. No, it will rise again. No, the sun will rise until the day that it burns out. And my sister, she moves further away, and I always swear I'll visit, but I never have the money. and she never has the time. And I wonder what she is doing, but I always forget to call. I'm just so easily distracted by the things that just don't matter at all. But still she loves her baby brother, spoiled rotten and just a little self-involved. Well, maybe I'm not here to be a husband and a father, but to live in quiet sadness until it's time for me to go. Maybe I'll just fade away and find the hills of a Carolina or the coast of California, 'cause man, someone's gotta want these bones. But oh, the sun, it will rise. No, it will rise again without me. No, the sun will rise until the day that it burns out. Man, no, the sun will rise until the day that it burns out. No. Thanks, guys.
So while we're doing the changeover, ladies and gentlemen, we have some upcoming events for this week. On Tuesday, the 9th, Brittany Dixon, shout out to Brittany on Fire. She's going to return. She's back with a vengeance, returning with the Sessions open mic at Tumulties in New Brunswick. Sign-ups begin at 7:30. Zaretza, who is set to be a guest on the show in a few weeks, is playing the Bitter End in Manhattan at 9:30. On Wednesday, the 10th, our old pal Danny Coleman and his new show, What's Next, is hosting a live event at Tir Nanog in Hamilton. It starts at 7 p.m. and features the music of Rick Winneau.
They pour good Guinness there.
They pour good Guinness there? That's a
Guinness.
rare thing to find in these days. Lords of Liechtenstein, Dave
boy.
Vargo, my brother Matt Dubrow are going to be at the Asbury Hotel on Wednesday at 8 p.m. That's a fantastic lineup.
Yes.
And of course, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Joe Gallupo at the Meat Locker at 8 p.m. I think Live from the Dining Room is just finishing up their 24-hour stream as we speak. Shout out to those boys.
We have to have them on.
They must have lost their mind by now. All right. On Thursday, the 11th, our valiant host, Brian Erickson, the taller of the two of us, is playing solo acoustic at Crossroads in Garwood with Jenny and the Felines and the Angry Pirates at 7:30. Get angry, get piratey. Light of Day Winterfest kicks off at the Saint on Thursday and features Dentist. Dentist is such a good band.
Yeah.
Doors at 7 p.m. Never been to the Saint. Can't wait to check it out.
I hear that room's got really good tone.
Really good tone. Really good tone, I've heard from everyone. On Friday, the 12th, Finding Phoebus. Who's in that band, Brian?
Brittany, actually. The aforementioned Brittany Dixon.
Brittany on Fire. Who else?
Nikki Karawaki of Batting 1,000.
Who else?
RJ Nobles is the drummer, and Alejandro, I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm not going to, is also in that band.
And who else is in that band?
I'm in that band.
Brian Erickson is in that band as well, ladies and gentlemen.
How many, you know what, this is going to be great, like when we do these reads, because it's going to be like
Us
how
just
many
plugging our
shows
own
are
shows.
two
Yeah,
of
we're
us
competing.
playing
You're
each
beating
week?
me this week.
Okay,
All
I
right.
was going to ask you how many of these are you playing
None
week?
this week, actually. Okay, so Finding Phoebus on the 12th on Friday. They're celebrating the release of their new single, Tire Pressure Low, at Pino's in Highland Park with the Vaughns. Shout out.
I love the
Brian Rothenbeck. Never heard of him.
No, who's that?
And the Adventuring Party. That's the one thing. Never mind. On the 13th, Light of Day Downtown Music Crawl runs from 12 noon to 6 p.m. and features over 24 live performances.
Including Tara Dente.
Including
who we're
Tara
about to
Dente.
see.
Check out AsburyUnderground.com for the full schedule.
Wait, Tara, when?
3:45 p.m. at
She's
Art
playing-
629.
She's playing at 3:45.
Art 629 in Asbury.
Let's wrap up quickly. On the 13th, Saturday, Weekend Friends and Well Wisher will be at the Asbury Park Brewery. Asbury Park Yacht Club is hosting their Women Who Rock event featuring Lauren Patty, Pam Flores, Mac, Tara Dente, and Renee Maskin of Lowlight. That show starts at 8. That's the greatest.
I know where I'm going to be.
That's like the best lineup I've ever heard in my lifetime. And on the 14th, Sunday, the Watermark in Asbury Park is hosting a songwriting showcase at 12 noon with Rachel Anna Dobkin, Taylor Tote, and Luke Elliott. All three amazing.
Are you not playing with Rachel?
I was not. I don't think so.
You weren't invited?
I didn't get that text message, so we'll find
Rachel.
out.
Like, let's bring him in.
Hey, Rachel, get on that. All right, that's your upcoming events. And now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, you want to do it, Brian?
Let's do it together.
3.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Tara
Dente.
Little boy drowned at only 5 years old. Mother and father sleep beside his headstone in the deep dark ground. Oh, I can miss the dad tonight. No fear, no fright. I too shall lay under the stars. They'll tread atop the place I love. And over time the wind will blow. The ice will bring rain and snow. Oh, I pray those words of mine, leaving no one left to know. Oh, these olden bones, I feel below. These people who I feel I've known sleep well in the snow and rain. No more worldly pain. Dog is sleeping, let him lie. We're in this room for just a while. The peace of land before I sleep. My fairy tale, my sunny eye. Ooh. These olden bones, I feel below. feeling no more worldly pain, feeling no more worldly pain.
That was the one I wrote in Vermont. First song in Vermont. This one, that was on the Gleaner. This next one is the title track of my first album.
You gotta leave your ghost behind. You gotta leave your ghost behind, for they will follow until the end, unless you burn the threads. Doesn't matter where they're from. It doesn't matter from where they come. All your ghosts leave you just the same, in a box with no courage and no name. If this is all a dream, your ghosts aren't as big as they seem. A weak piece of thread is the only path that binds you to their wrath. So you gotta leave your ghosts behind. They're neither funny nor are they kind. They feed on fear and drink your tears. You gotta leave your ghosts behind. You gotta leave your ghosts behind. You gotta leave.
Brian Guerrero, Matt Nash, Mike Venezia, Tom DeMeo, and Matt Smith. To our guests, Brian Rothenbeck and Tara Dente. To Mario at Monmouth Music. And our wonderful co-host, who's currently got a mouthful, Chris Dubrow. Thank you guys for tuning into week 1 of OneMore. All right.
I can't have dairy. It's really sad. It's really sad.
I'm vegan.
Let's take a bow, everyone.
Yeah, take a bow, everybody. I have been, and I remain Brian Erickson. This has been OneMore. We'll see you next Monday.